Every nation has its trendsetter, the original boxer who paved the way for future generations. For Filipinos, that man was Pancho Via. Born on August 1st, 1901 in Iloilo, Philippines, Via, his real name Francisco Guilledo, is celebrated as the first Filipino world champion, leaving an indelible mark in Philippine history. His life, though short, was filled with remarkable achievements, making him one of the greatest Filipino athletes of all time. Via's story began in humble surroundings in the Philippines, where he was born into poverty. He worked odd jobs, such as shoe shining, to support his family, but it was boxing that eventually lifted him out of poverty. Via's natural athleticism and determination were apparent when he took up boxing as a teenager. His early bouts were fought under difficult conditions, often in local fairs and makeshift rings, where Via faced older and more experienced fighters. Despite these challenges, his tenacity and quick reflexes helped him gain local recognition. Known for his incredible speed, he quickly caught the attention of Filipino boxing enthusiasts. His name began to circulate among local promoters. By the early 1920s, Via had built a reputation. In 1921, Via caught the attention of American boxing manager Frank Churchill. Noticing the young man's potential, the promoters took him to Manila, where he began training in earnest. Via's nickname, Pancho Via, was a tribute to the Mexican revolutionary leader of the same name. In the early 1920s, Via moved to the United States to advance his career. The trip marked the beginning of Via's meteoric rise in the world of boxing. In 1922, Via fought in 9 matches, securing victories against opponents like Battling Murray and Johnny Hepburn, thus solidifying his status as a rising star. His incredible work ethic and rigorous training regimen helped him adapt to American boxing standards. Via's aggressive fighting style, marked by his relentless pursuit of opponents, his explosive footwork, and precise punches, earned him admiration from both fans and boxing professionals. He encountered some difficulties, such as a controversial 1922 loss to Frankie Gennaro. Still, his rise in popularity was swift, and by 1923, Via was regarded as a top contender for the world flyweight title. On June 18, 1923, Pancho Via cemented his place in boxing history. At the Polo Grounds in New York, Via challenged and defeated the legendary Welshman Jimmy Wilde for the world flyweight title. Wilde, who had reigned as the dominant flyweight champion for several years, was considered unbeatable. However, Via's unrelenting style overwhelmed the Welshman, who failed at keeping up with the Filipinos' ferocious pace. Via knocked Wilde out in the 7th round, becoming the first Filipino to win a world title. He was only 21 years old. The victory sent shockwaves throughout the boxing world and instantly made Via a national hero in the Philippines. His triumph was not just a personal achievement, but also a moment of immense pride for his home country, which was still finding its identity after being colonized by Spain and the United States. Via's World Championship brought international recognition to Filipino boxers and showcased their potential on the global stage. Following his world title win, Via's fame soared. He became an international celebrity and was a sought-after figure in both the US and the Philippines. Via fought and won several high-profile bouts, solidifying his reputation as one of the best flyweights in the world. He successfully defended his title and dominated opponents via suffocating style. During this period, Via built a record of 76 wins, 5 losses, and 5 draws, with 23 of his victories coming by knockout. In 1925, Via was set to fight Jimmy McLarnin in a non-title bout. However, weeks before the bout, Via underwent dental surgery involving an abscessed tooth. The doctor advised him to remain inactive, but Via, ever the competitor, refused the advice. It would prove a fatal mistake. Exhausted by his medical ailments, Via dropped a 10-round decision to McLarnin. He required further dental surgeries, but by then, an infection had worsened, spreading toxins throughout his bloodstream. A week after the McLarnin defeat, Via passed away. Like the Mexican boxer Salvador Sanchez, Via died while in his early 20s, still far from his physical prime. However, Everything he accomplished in so short a time placed him as one of the best flyweights of all time, as well as one of the greatest Filipino boxers ever. For many, the name Seino Garcia will be forever linked with the legendary Henry Armstrong, and it's done so in a derogatory manner. A deeper look into Garcia's career, however, reveals a long-standing and unfair portrayal. Born on August 26, 1906, Garcia's family faced economic hardships. As he grew up, Garcia developed an affinity for street fighting. This translated well into boxing, and Garcia turned pro at the age of 17. Competing as a welterweight, Garcia spent 8 years plying his craft at home. Then, he graduated to the United States. There, he displayed a ferocious style, along with his famous bolo punches, a technique which involved loading up on strikes. Garcia fought all across the United States, including the legendary Olympic Auditorium in Los Angeles. His opponents included young Corbett III, Freddie Steele, and Kid Azteca. Despite losing many of these fights, Garcia always held his own, staying in the welterweight mix. He thrice challenged the great Barney Ross, once for the welterweight championship, but was always repealed. In 1938, at Madison Square Garden, Garcia challenged the new welterweight champion, Henry Armstrong. Once again, Garcia gave his opponent hell, but Armstrong, then at the peak of his powers, was too active and just too good, retaining his championship. In 1939, Garcia moved up to the middleweight division and challenged Fred Apostoli for a portion of the middleweight championship. Garcia ground Apostoli down, en route to a 7th-round stoppage. With that, Garcia became the first Filipino to win a middleweight title and became the first significant Filipino champion since Pancho Via. In 1940, Armstrong moved up to middleweight to win an unprecedented 4th championship. Now stronger at 160 pounds, Garcia performed much better, going toe-to-toe with the punching machine known as Armstrong. After 10 rounds, the fight was scored a draw. Today, many boxing fans have heard the tale of how Armstrong was robbed of his record-breaking achievement. But there's more to this story than long-standing fables. For one, some even doubt that the championship was at stake, as only the California Commission recognized it as a title fight, hence why the bout only lasted 10 rounds. Secondly, although Armstrong reportedly got off to his usual fast start, Garcia banked many rounds as well. Some reporters also had him winning the later rounds. On top of this, reports showed that the crowd was equally split on who'd won the bout. This hardly sounds like the egregious robbery many fans have been led to believe. Garcia would later lose his title to Ken Overlin that very year, and failed to achieve anything else of note afterwards. However, what he did achieve was to compete with some of the best welterweights and middleweights of his time, in an era in which there were, at most, 2 recognized championships per division. If Garcia were fighting in today's era of diluted paper belts, he could have easily become a 2-time champion. Moreover, he fought numerous times in Madison Square Garden, the mecca of boxing, which only showcased the best of the best. And then, of course, he continued forging a path for future Filipinos, originally set by Pancho Via. Because of his accomplishments inside the ring, as well as his influence in the Philippines, Garcia is one of the greatest Filipino fighters of all time. There had been other champions from the Philippines before the 1950s, but until the early 2000s, none was more popular than Gabriel FL Elorde. Born on March 25, 1935, Elorde spent little time in school. Forced to work at an early age, Elorde soon found boxing via a friend. He became an adept and turned pro in 1951. He was 16 years old. Elorde was known for his southpaw stance, quick footwork, and lightning-fast punches, earning him the nickname Flash. Early in his career, Elorde made a name for himself by defeating seasoned boxers and rose to the featherweight division. In 1955, after 4 years as a pro, Elorde took on Sandy Sadler, the reigning world featherweight champion, in a non-title bout. Sadler, considered one of the greatest featherweights of all time, was a dominant force in boxing, after besting the great Willie Pep in 3 out of 4 bouts. Undaunted, Elorde upset the champion in a 10-round affair. This earned him a title bout against Sadler in 1956. Sadler, notorious for breaking the rules, pulled out all his tricks to best his young challenger. Elorde fought valiantly, but a cut forced a stoppage in the 13th round. The crowd booed the decision, just as they'd been booing Sadler's use of the dark arts throughout the night. Unbothered by the defeat, Elorde racked up more wins before moving up to the super featherweight division. In 1960, before a frantic Filipino audience, Elorde took on the reigning champion, Harold Gomez. Elorde was a 2-1 underdog. Elorde flashed his skills, dropping Gomez 8 times en route to a 7th-round stoppage. The victory was significant, for Elorde had become the first Filipino champion since Seino Garcia. That same year, Elorde would stop Gomez in 1 round. The win cemented Elorde's superstar status in the Philippines. Elorde would later attempt to conquer the lightweight division, but the great Puerto Rican Carlos Ortiz put a stop to that with 2 stoppage victories. But in between, Elorde would defend his title 11 times across 7 years, including a win over the Panamanian Ismael Laguna. Additionally, in 1963, Elorde unified the division by decisioning Johnny Bizarro. It all came to an end in 1967 when he lost the titles to Yoshiaki Nomura. He fought a few more times, retiring in 1971. By then, he'd done enough. His accomplishments earned him induction into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, but it was his humility and generosity that earned him his countrymen's adulation, and for decades, he was considered the prize jewel of Filipino boxing. To find one of the Philippines' best, we don't have to go back too far in time. Born on October 3rd, 1982, Donnie Nietes was one of the most dominant boxers in the lower weight divisions. Nietes was a patient boxer-puncher, a well-schooled boxer who could deal with all styles. Nicknamed Ahas, which is Tagalog for snake, Nietes proved just as deadly as a serpent, launching quick and powerful strikes. Nietes grew up in humble surroundings. He was no stranger to financial hardships. Like many Filipino athletes, he turned to boxing in the hopes of improving his life. Nietes' journey into the sport began when he worked as a utility man for the famed ALA gym in Cebu. It was during this time that his potential was recognized. In 2003, Nietes stepped into the paid ranks. He was 20 years old. He won a series of local titles before encountering his first defeat in 2006. The loss came in the form of a 10-round split decision to Anki Ancona. The fact that he was engaging in 10-rounders after only 3 years as a pro denotes his quick development. Nietes rebounded from the loss, notching more victories, culminating with his first world title in 2007. There, he took the vacant WBO minimum weight title against the Thai Borsawan Popramuk. He achieved this via unanimous decision. Defended the belt 4 more times before moving up to the junior flyweight division in 2011. There, he decisioned Ramon Garcia for the WBO junior flyweight title. In his second defense, Nietes suffered a career blemish when he drew with the Mexican Moises Fuentes. Nietes then defended the title a 3rd time, scoring a stoppage victory. Then, in 2014, he rematched Fuentes. This time, the Filipino left no doubt as to who was the better man, as he stopped Fuentes in the 9th round. The win earned him the coveted Ring Magazine Junior Flyweight title, thus establishing him as one of the best fighters in the world. Nietes defended the title 5 more times, including a 2015 bout against Francisco Rodriguez Jr. The strong Mexican hoped that his aggressiveness, combined with a youth advantage, would overwhelm Nietes, but the Filipino remained composed, returned his own body shots, and decisioned Rodriguez Jr. With this, Nietes broke Flash Elorde's record for consecutive defenses made by a Filipino. And so, Nietes moved up to his third weight class at flyweight. In 2016, Nietes took on former world champion and veteran Edgar Sosa. Nietes was too sharp, too precise, and too defensively sound, winning by unanimous decision. In 2017, Nietes grabbed his third world title when he decisioned Comgrich Nantapec. The strong Thai gave it his all, but Nietes, now a seasoned pro, navigated the tough waters with relative ease. In 2018, Nietes made his HBO debut. Fighting on the premium Home for Boxing, Nietes showed he belonged as he methodically dissected Juan Carlos Reveco en route to a 7th-round stoppage. That same year, Nietes took on the tall Aston Pelicte, once again on HBO. The fellow Filipino fought well, but it appeared as if Nietes was always one step ahead, landing the harder shots. After 12 rounds of combat, the judges scored about a draw. Many felt Nietes had clearly won the fight. On the third, Nietes moved up yet another division, his fourth, this time to super flyweight. His opponent was a 3-division world champion, the skilled Japanese Kazuto Ioka. The fight was hotly contested, a high-speed chess match in which both boxers displayed refined skill. In the end, Nietes walked away with a split decision, and did so as a 4-division world champion. Things would slow down after this. For unknown reasons, Nietes remained inactive during 2019 and later 2020, vacating his title. He returned in 2021, going 1-0-1. Then, in 2022, at 40 years of age, Nietes rematched Kazuto Ioka. It was another chess match, but this time, the quicker Ioka remained one step ahead and emerged with a unanimous decision. Nietes has yet to officially retire, but considering his advanced age, we'll consider him as such. In the end, he makes the list based off of his skills and unwavering resilience, both of which he used to capture 4 titles across 4 weight divisions. Until the arrival of this boxer, FL Elorde remained the standard bearer for Filipino boxing. Then, Manny Pacquiao arrived. Born on December 17, 1978, Pacquiao worked odd jobs as a child to keep his family afloat. He discovered boxing early in his life, and at 16, he traveled to Manila in the hopes of entering the paid ranks. He trained diligently and turned pro that very year. Thanks to his work ethic and natural gifts, Pacquiao fast-tracked his way to a championship fight. This came in 1998 against the flyweight champion, Chachtai Sasakul. Pacquiao stopped Sasakul and became a champion at only 19 years of age. However, struggling with weight issues, Pacquiao failed to make the flyweight limit, and the undefeated Bunsai Sangsurat stopped him in 3 rounds. Despite his talent, Pacquiao had much to learn. He skipped that division and moved out to super bantamweight, while also seeking out trainers in the USA. That's where he met the trainer, Freddie Roach. The pair matched well instantly, and in 2001, Pacquiao won his second title when he defeated the highly regarded Lelo Leduava. Pacquiao notched some more victories before moving up to the featherweight division. There, he challenged the champion, Marco Antonio Barrera. Barrera was ranked as the number 3 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, but Pacquiao displayed his blinding speed, non-stop movement, and deadly power to stop the Mexican great. It wasn't even close. At only 25 years of age, Pacquiao was now a 3-division world champion. Things weren't so easy in 2004 when he took on the number 1 contender, Juan Manuel Marquez. Pacquiao got off to a quick start, thrice dropping Marquez. The Mexican rose and gave Pacquiao hell en route to a disputed draw. One judge had mistakenly scored the first round 10-7 for Pacquiao instead of 10-6, which would have had Pacquiao winning on a split decision. This was the beginning of one of boxing's greatest rivalries. In 2005, Pacquiao moved up yet another division to super featherweight and took on another Mexican great in Eric Morales. Pacquiao fought well, but the bigger Morales was too sharp, and Pacquiao lost his first bout in years via unanimous decision. On the third, Pacquiao and Roach continued refining their techniques, and in 2006, Pacquiao twice stopped Morales, becoming the first man to halt the Mexican. The wins earned Pacquiao Fighter of the Year honors. In 2007, Pacquiao notched some more wins, including a second victory over Barrera via decision. In 2008, Pacquiao rematched Juan Manuel Marquez. It was another hotly contested bout, with both men hurting each other throughout 12 rounds. In the end, Pacquiao walked away with a split decision victory. It was still difficult to figure out who the best man was. Pacquiao then moved up yet another division at lightweight and took a title from the tough David Diaz, halting him in the 9th round. Then, Pacquiao took the biggest risk of his career thus far when he jumped up another 2 divisions to the welterweight one. There, he took on the much bigger Oscar De La Hoya, a 5-division world champion. Against all odds, Pacquiao picked apart his larger foe en route to an 8th-round stoppage. Once again, he was voted Ring Magazine's 2008 Fighter of the Year. Already a star in the Philippines, Pacquiao became a sensation across the world. By then, Pacquiao was certain to get into the Hall of Fame, but he wasn't satisfied yet. In 2009, he dropped down a division to 140 pounds and took on the champion, Ricky Hatton. With his ferocious come-forward style, Hatton was expected to create fireworks against Pacquiao's own unrelenting style. Instead, Pacquiao easily stopped him in 2 rounds. At the peak of his powers, Pacquiao returned to 147 pounds, this time to take on 2-division world champion and one of the top welterweights, Miguel Cotto. The 2 men exchanged furiously, with Cotto believing his timing and size advantage would earn him the win. Instead, Pacquiao dropped him twice, and after the 5th, the bout ceased being competitive. Pacquiao put Cotto on the defensive and halted him in the 12th round. For the 2nd year in a row, Pacquiao was the Fighter of the Year and the best boxer on the planet. Entering the 2010 decade, Pacquiao continued fighting top contenders, many of them bigger fighters, such as Joshua Clottey, Antonio Margarito, and Sugar Shane Mosley. In 2011, he took on his rival, Juan Manuel Marquez, for a 3rd time. Marquez got off to a fast start before slowing down somewhat, and Pacquiao won a disputed decision. In 2012, Pacquiao took on the undefeated former junior welterweight titleist, Timothy Bradley, and lost a highly controversial decision. Later that year, Pacquiao suffered his worst defeat at the hands of his arch-nemesis, Juan Manuel Marquez. In their historic 4th meeting, both men traded knockdowns before Marquez detonated a bomb of a right hand that knocked Pacquiao out cold. Displaying the greatness that made him the best boxer on the planet, Pacquiao embarked on a comeback in 2013. In the mid-2010s, Pacquiao gained revenge over Timothy Bradley, twice handing him losses. In 2015, Pacquiao met the undefeated Floyd Mayweather Jr. in a battle for pound-for-pound supremacy. The bout was a tepid affair, with few punches landed, and Mayweather walked away with a decision win. Pacquiao rebounded with that 2nd win over Bradley, then a decision over the undefeated Jesse Vargas. 2017 saw more controversy, as Pacquiao, now in his late 30s, took on the undefeated Jeff Horn. Despite absorbing Horn's dirty tactics, Pacquiao busted his younger foe up, en route to losing another contentious decision. Pacquiao rebounded by stopping Lucas Matisse in 2018, and in 2019, now close to 40 years of age, Pacquiao bested another younger and lightning-fast opponent in Adrian Broner. Later that summer, he took on one of the best welterweights on the planet, the undefeated Keith Thurman. Pacquiao dropped his opponent and weathered some tough rounds to score a split decision win. After a 2-year layoff, Pacquiao's career ended when he dropped a decision to contender Yordanis Ugas. On top of boxing, Pacquiao also delved into politics, as well as owning a myriad of businesses. Like many of the Filipinos on this list, Pacquiao gained fame without forgetting where he came from, renowned for his generosity and humility. If Pacquiao would have ended his career in 2007, he would have been one of the best fighters of his generation. However, everything he did afterwards makes him one of the best boxers of all time, as well as the best Filipino fighter ever.